Well, Reggie, you're very welcome. Many thanks for tuning in. As always, a special thanks to my Patreon friends who keep this ticking over. In fact, you know what? This week, I think I'm going to give them a shout out. I think I'm going to give some of them a shout out. Just do it. I'll start giving shout outs. So I'd like to say thank you to Fiona Taggart, Paul Nugent, Sadie Blackford, Jared McElwain, Specky Sam. He knows who he is because I know who he is. Old grumpy Specky Sam, right? Specky Sam. NMJ Regan, Karen Gallagher, Leslie Spark, Una McCurdy, Dylan Hunter, Hayden Williams, Miri Myrna, Sigma, Neil Whitney, and Bampot. That's a great name, Bampot. And my special thanks to Nathan Shields, whose generosity knows no bounds. Generous man, he is indeed. Thank you all. Much appreciated, much appreciated. And if anybody else would like to join our little number, I'd be very, very appreciative of that too, to keep this ticking over so that I can annoy those who need to be annoyed. Now, it was a momentous week in the Commons, with 330 against 275 MPs voting through an assisted dying vote. Now, I'm well aware of how contentious this issue is, and I accept the complexities involved. And while I'm in favour of assisted dying, I'd like to see a two-track approach to the issue, with the government addressing better end-of-life care by properly funding our hospices. Many of them are laying off desperately needed staff due to funding issues. It is a disgrace that our hospice sector still rely on charitable donations. You know, they should be fully funded and integrated into the NHS. And just a wee bit of a personal story here. I had a personal health issue during the year, which gave me a sobering insight into the reality of why assisted dying may be needed. Okay, now, I seriously injured my spine as a teenager, which, as we all know, was a very long time ago. Now, this injury resulted in 3 years of debilitating sciatica pain, with me unable to sit in the seat for more than about 3 minutes, walk for any length, lift my leg, do anything. I was on a walking stick. And it resulted in 2 milligrams and 2 operations on my spine. And as this all happened decades ago, it was long before MRI scanners. And I had the joyful experience of enduring 2 milligrams. Now, the milligram involved getting held like that with a nurse on each arm holding you down, and another one with a needle that length injecting you directly into your spinal column. They directed a dye into your spinal column, which would then show up and be an X-rayed. Now, for a small, minuscule minority of patients, the dye sometimes travelled all the way to the brain and resulted in horrific nausea. I was one of that lucky number. Continuing my lucky streak, I needed 2 milligrams as my first operation didn't work after the surgeon excised the wrong disc. Now, unlike today, that was a mistake. Do you understand? Do you remember them days when people made mistakes? Man was doing his best. I had about 5 discs out, all 5 discs out. He popped the one that wasn't hitting the sciatic nerve. And I had to go back in and get the second operation, which thankfully did work. And apart from intermittent bouts of severe pain, I've lived a pretty normal life for the last 40 years. Although there have been limitations, there's things I can't do. There's a lot of stuff I just know I can't do. I'd love to do, but I can't do. Even my walking now is limited. And that's because, unfortunately, earlier this year, I had a severe incident, which left me in hospital on 2 occasions. Now, in the first instance, I needed the help of an ambulance crew to get me out of the house. And while they were brilliant, absolutely brilliant, their best efforts failed to alleviate the agony I was experiencing. Having exhausted their onboard supply of gas and air, what absolutely terrified me was when 2 doses of morphine had absolutely no analgesic effect on the nerve pain I was experiencing. Let me tell you, people, I've had a lot of pain in my life. This was at a level I never want to experience again, okay? I waited for 12 hours on a trolley like everybody else in a corridor of the RVH before I got to see a consultant. Thank God, as soon as he saw me, he realised what was wrong, cut out on all the analgesics, and gave me a massive dose of anti-inflammatory medication, which worked. Although I'm still working my way through, I still have issues. Now, What I can say, without any doubt, is if, God forbid, I were in end-of-life care, and I thought I had to endure the pain I was in during that episode, I would immediately avail of assisted dying. For that is not living, people. That is not life. That is torture. That's all that is, torture. We live in a society where you can be imprisoned if you're convicted of inflicting unnecessary pain and suffering on a pet, but where you can also be imprisoned if you help a loved one avoid similar suffering. End of rant. That's that bit over, but I had to say it. Okay, so now I want to remain in the Commons, but this time we're leaving the lower house. I love the names they give these two, right? The lower house. You know, the one where you have to get votes to get in, where you have to be representative of the people you're supposed to be representing. But we're leaving that one and we're going to the higher house. They call the higher house. Yeah, you know, the home of Russian spies, PPE thieves, con men, charlatans, and failed politicians. Yeah. For a while, MPs struggled, and many of them struggled desperately with the moral miasma of dealing with the assistant dying bill. Kate Hoey, ex-Pat Kate Hoey, well, she was addressing a much more serious issue, namely the difficulties caused by the Irish Sea border in the transportation of ferrets. Ferrets! Oh, before you write into me and say I made a mistake by not saying Baroness. I don't give titles where no titles have been earned. Listen to this.
Passed. The draft Windsor Framework non-commercial movement of pets animal regulations will impact the everyday lives of people seeking to move for non-trading purposes from one part of the United Kingdom, Great Britain, to another, Northern Ireland, when they travel with a pet under the terms of the regulations. The experience of visiting Northern Ireland with your pet dog or cat, or even a ferret, will be made to feel like a visit to a foreign country. It will only be costly.
What? I can't take any more of this. I can't take my pet ferret to the UK to visit my family and take it home again. They've taken our flags. They've taken our marches, and now they've come to take our ferrets, the bastards. They're going to take our ferrets.
Could I suggest to Ms. Hoy that in the terminology of Northern Ireland, she give her wee head a good shake, take a reddener and wise up. Though I do realise that politicians are incapable of embarrassment, proven beyond doubt this week by two other failed politicians in the upper house of the damned. And they are Peter Weir and Arlene Foster, both of whom would comfortably fall under the failed politicians classification. Now, Peter was at Queen's, look at him, to unveil a portrait of Arlene, which will now hang on those illustrious walls. Squeeze me a second here. I have a question. Is this the same Arlene who, as minister, oversaw the 500 million disaster of RHI? Money that was wasted, which could have been spent in our schools and our health service. And who then followed that up by being treated like a thick Mick by Boris Johnson, leading her by the nose into the implementation of the Irish Sea border. For if it is, will someone in the name of God explain to me why she should be lauded with a portrait in Queen's University? I mean, has the woman no embarrassment? Like, will she ever accept, even at this late date, any responsibility for a disastrous political career? The answer, of course, is no. Which raises the question for me, what exactly does a politician here have to do before they're judged a failure? For example, will the person who followed her as leader of the DUP, will he retain his seat in the upper house? You know what, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. For after all, he'd be in good company, wouldn't he? He wouldn't look out of place. Nah, he wouldn't look out of place up there. Now, while that was all going on, there was another election taking place this week for the Dáil, which proved that Westminster is in no way unique as a home for crooks. As I record this, it's Saturday night, the 30th of November. All results are in. But Dublin criminal Gary the Monk Hutch is on the cusp of winning a seat in the Dáil for the Dublin Central constituency. That one of the country's most recognisable criminals He was in court only a matter of months ago for a shooting incident, right? He's a criminal record that stretches back decades. That he's managed to attract such support highlights the dissatisfaction of the Irish electorate with the two-party Fianna Fáil, Fianna Gael system. And even though the predicted demise of Sinn Féin has not occurred, with that party presently sitting at the top of first preference votes, the two-party carve-up will continue, as both of the big parties have already ruled out any way of letting Sinn Féin into government. So here we are, democracy operating once again in a very, very strange fashion, where it's resulted in a stasis and a win for the old guard. Staying with fixed fights, the clash between Mike Tyson and the bad boy of social media, Jake Paul, unsurprisingly failed to live up to its manic pre-fight promotion. Now, with boxing continuing to falter under the assault of mixed martial arts and the octagon, it is beginning to take on the appearance of a circus sideshow, with OAPs fighting men decades younger. Like, if that fight happened outside a boxing ring, your man Jake Paul will be done for elder abuse. The motivation for both, of course, was ka-ching, the money, with Tyson estimated to come away with 20 million and your man Jake Paul taking home twice that amount. I don't know. I remember, that's how old I am. I remember a much more gentle time when old heavyweight champions such as Joe Louis, well, they retired to Vegas to work as greeters in the big casinos. And tell you what, see if Tyson does return to the ring, it's most likely going to be in the Paralympic Games. That's the only place he can fight again. That's the only place he'd be allowed to fight again. Oh, while Tyson didn't manage a shock result, back home, rap band Kneecap did. Having been denied a government grant of around, 14,250 odd quid by the now new Tory leader, Kemi Badenoch, they took their case to the High Court in Belfast, where they won after the new Labour government refused to continue to deny their claim and in doing so waste even more public money. Now, my wee mate Jimmy Bryson was incensed that liberal elite commentators. I'm a liberal, right? Jimmy's got me there. I'm a liberal, right? But I don't think I'm elite. I'm the same as Jimmy. That's where me and Jimmy get on. We're both common as muck, right? We can talk well, but we're both, you know what I mean? We're not elite. We're not elite. So, but I understand Jimmy having a meltdown. Jimmy said if this liberal elite, if loyalists turned up at the High Court in balaclavas, they'd have a meltdown. Jimmy's got a point. Jimmy's got a point. But no, hang on here. Didn't that happen during the Gary Hegarty case last October? Sure, didn't loyalists turn up in balaclavas and sit in the public gallery for 4 days? Now, I know Jimmy's a man of character. I know Jimmy will immediately correct the record and that he will condemn those UVF men for turning up in court wearing masks. I wait patiently for just such. I'm going to be waiting a while, aren't I? Anyway, see, apart from all that, I have a bigger gripe about the Kneecap case. I'll tell you what it is. I'll be honest about you this here. It's not about balaclavas, although I think that tricolor balaclava is very 1980s. I'm sorry, lads, but I think it's very 1980s. You know what I mean? It's. I like the whole theatrical piece, but I love the Land Rover and all that stuff. Oh, that was class. You're a crafty wee bastards. You know what I put on a show. I'll give you that. But here's my point. And I'm serious about this. I have performed here for 30 years. 30 years. Middle-aged man and old man. I have performed for 30 years. And over all those years, I have never received one penny in a government grant. Why this discrimination? I tell you why. Because you Westies get it all. Westies get it all. Us Nordies get nothing. We get nothing. That's the truth of it. And I know why. Because our local politicians are shite. See our local Nordy politicians. Hate. I don't mind saying hate. Because here's the fact of it. It isn't only cream floats to the top. And North Belfast politicians prove that. Prove it. Where's my grant? Where's my grant?
You'll do nothing. You hear me? You'll do nothing.